When I picked up the original NieR, it was more of a fluke. I tend to keep an eye out for games that I think might become rare in the future, buying them cheap before the used game market balloons the price. I had heard decent things about the game, but didn't really plan to play it anytime soon. Then, NieR Automata released, and people went nuts for it, expounding on its excellence. And that's when I remembered that I had the original. So before I jumped into Automata, I thought I'd play that. What I found was a game brilliant in its story and music, but lacking in combat and graphics. It stuck with me though, compelling me to finish it 100%. The funny thing is, I never actually got around to playing NieR Automata, but here I am taking a look at the remake of the original, NieR Replicant version 1.22474487139 repeating, or the square root of 1.5. Clever. And I truly hope that this game finds a new audience as there's a lot to enjoy. But did this enhanced remake fix the problems of the first NieR? Well, let's take a look. The game takes place nearly 1500 years in the future, long after some unknown catastrophe struck the world, splintering humanity and forcing them to contend with strange creatures known as shades. In the midst of all this, a young boy is caring for his younger sister, Yona, as she has caught a mysterious illness known as the Black Scrawl. Her brother, who all refer to as NieR, works tirelessly to find a cure, but one day Yona wanders off to a lost shrine in search of a false hope. NieR goes to her rescue and in the process comes across a magic-talking book named Grimoire Weiss. The tome is missing some of his memory, but believes that scouring the lands for shades that possess spells known as sealed verses could lead to a cure for Yona. Emboldened by this hope, NieR sets out to save his sister while killing every shade in his way. It's a relatively simple setup, but there are elements surrounding it that immediately create questions of just what is really going on. And that's to say nothing of the supporting cast that eventually joins NieR in the form of the foul-mouthed Kaine and the cursed Emil. Every major character is well written, sympathetic, and simply arresting to watch. Even the NPCs who offer side quests have interesting stories to tell, ranging from the humorous to downright tragic. But it's the struggles of the main cast that pulled me in both the first time I played and in this remake, and that's especially true after the time skip halfway through the story. I refuse to say more than that, but it is well worth playing through every ending in Replicant as it provides more context for each character and what is going on behind the scenes. The story is arguably the best part of this game. But it is a game, and one of the big promises is a refined combat system. The original NieR played fine as an action RPG, it just wasn't the most engaging game despite some cool ideas. Combat felt basic and dull to a point, with little to evolve your style beyond different weapon types. And that's still kind of the case here, though it has been improved thanks to quick dodges, counterattacks, and remixed combos. There's a better sense of flow to the combat as I switch between strikes that focus either on a single enemy or could hit entire groups. It's better, but I still find it a little weak and repetitious. However, the magic is still incredibly unique in that it feels more like a shoot-'em-up rather than traditional magic. Spells range from small shots that can home in on enemies when charged, lethal lances that pierce defenses, whirling saws that surround you for a short time, spikes that rise from the ground to impale enemies, and even a giant fist that can slam into groups. Any two can be assigned to the triggers and mixed up on the fly, but I tended to stick with a certain set that I found the most effective unless a situation demanded more specialization. Both your weapons and magic can be enhanced through the use of words. As you defeat enemies, they'll sometimes drop words that flow into Weiss, and attaching them to spells or weapons can improve them in various ways. This includes increasing their damage, causing status effects, improving item drop rates, lowering spell costs, and increasing the experience gained, amongst others. It's not something I thought about much in terms of actively looking or changing up the combat, but they were a nice reward as I played through the game. In a similar vein, materials can also be gathered in order to improve your weapons, boosting their attack and magic power. Getting those materials can be a bit of a pain though, as many tend to be rare. Again, it can help, but I never found the game so difficult that it felt necessary. Despite its combat weaknesses, NieR Replicant does find ways to constantly change up the gameplay. During one dungeon, the camera will flip to an overhead view and turn into a shooter with NieR's magic. Another has a change so heady and different that I don't even want to spoil the surprise. Then there's the side quests, which do lean heavily on fetch quests, gathering rare drops, and killing certain shades. But again, it's the way they're told that makes them feel worthwhile. Plus, side quests are the best way to earn more money. Other items can be sold, but I never knew what might be needed in the future, making me nervous to do so. Farming and fishing are available as well, creating a few more opportunities to make money. Neither are exactly in depth, but they do offer small breaks from the typical combat. The side quests do feel like a point of contention though, as they can seem a tad much, especially in the first half of the game where there's no fast travel. Oftentimes I had to run back and forth for a single quest, and it would feel tedious after a while. Doing every quest isn't necessary though. The only requirement to see every ending is finding all 33 weapons in the game. That said, I highly recommend looking up a quest guide to make the process much less time consuming so you can focus on the quests that are worth your energy. I wish it wasn't this much of a hassle at times, as the stories attached are good, but some of them ask for a lot of patience. Thankfully, the absolutely brilliant music softens the blow of these long treks. I loved the music in the original release, and it continues to shine in Replicant. In fact, the music is newly re-recorded and even extended in some cases, along with brand new tracks to enjoy. It's seamless if you've never heard it before, but a pure treat for returning fans. I still have these hauntingly beautiful melodies stuck in my head, and incredibly enough, almost the entire cast has returned for a brand new recording of the script, and they nail it. It feels just as it was, with the newly cast brother NieR working perfectly along with the existing actors. Plus, the entire thing is fully voice acted, including every interaction with NPCs. It really adds a lot to the presentation and story. Speaking of, the game is a noticeable upgrade over the original with 4K support and a solid 60 FPS. It looks good and it runs well, but there are still some imperfections. Despite the 4K visuals, the graphics feel flat and a bit low quality when looking too closely at something. The most apparent example of this is how there isn't even any lip movement when talking to NPCs. It's better than before, and the draw distance is proof of that, but it's not exactly pushing the system. And that's where I have trouble with NieR Replicant. This is undoubtedly the definitive version of the game. It has improved a lot and even added a bunch of content such as the new music and a new story quest. It feels better than the original, but it's still not quite up there with the truly great action RPGs, at least as far as gameplay. As I said, I haven't played Automata yet, so I can't compare it to that specifically, but it feels like something's missing. I found myself going on autopilot for a lot of the combat until a big moment happened, and that's when I felt absolutely engaged. It's the same way I felt in the original NieR. But like that original playthrough, everything else is fantastic. The story is engaging, funny, and tragic at different points. The interactions are phenomenal, especially those between Weiss, NieR, and Kaine. The music punctuates every moment perfectly. To that end, I love this game and wholeheartedly suggest it to anyone looking for an offbeat story and memorable characters. However, if you tend to be more invested in gameplay, then there might not be much here for you. Personally, a good story can elevate a game for me, and considering how much the gameplay has improved over the original, this is an easy recommendation. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this review, please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming so we can create more videos like this in the future. All of your support truly means the world, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, and we'll catch you on Good Vibes Gaming next time. Bye!